Alright, let's talk about cybersecurity. Yes, I know. Just hearing the word makes you want to curl up and rewatch a documentary about competitive cheese rolling. It sounds complicated, technical, and frankly like a problem for someone in a hoodie hunched over a glowing screen in a dark room. But here's the thing. In our world, where everything from your car to your refrigerator has an opinion and an internet connection, cybersecurity isn't some abstract concept anymore. It's the digital equivalent of locking your front door before you go to bed. It's the reason your embarrassing high school photos haven't been plastered on every billboard from Times Square to Topeka. It's the invisible shield standing between your bank account and some guy named Vlad _ the _ impaler operating out of a poorly ventilated basement. Think about it. We live our lives online. We shop, we bank, we date. We argue with strangers about whether a hot dog is a sandwich. It's a rich tapestry of human experience all happening on the internet. And every single one of those activities involves data. Your name, your address, your credit card number, your questionable search history from 3 a.m. last Tuesday. Cybersecurity is the massive, sprawling, and frankly underappreciated effort to keep all of that information safe. It's the digital bodyguard you didn't know you had, and frankly, the one you're probably not paying enough attention to. The importance of this digital shield has exploded because the number of things we need to protect has exploded. It's not just your computer anymore. It's your phone, your smartwatch, your smart TV that's probably listening to your conversations about its picture quality, and yes, even your smart toaster. This is the so-called Internet of Things, which is a fancy way of saying we willingly put 1,000 tiny hackable computers in our homes for the convenience of preheating the oven from the couch. Every one of those devices is a potential doorway into your digital life. Understanding the basics isn't about becoming a tech genius. It's about becoming a smarter, safer citizen of the digital world we all now inhabit. It's about recognizing that while the internet has given us incredible tools, it's also given new tools to the people who want to mess with us. And it's time we learned how to fight back. Now, when cybersecurity experts talk about protecting your stuff, they often use 3 fancy words: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. It sounds like the slogan for a very boring law firm, but this trio, often called the CIA Triad, no, not that CIA put away your tinfoil hats, is the absolute bedrock of keeping your digital life from imploding. Let's start with the first one, which is arguably the one most people think of when they hear the word security. Confidentiality is simple. It means keeping secrets secret. It's the digital equivalent of a promise. When you send a private message, you expect that only you and the recipient can read it. When you enter your credit card details on a shopping site, you trust that the information is for the merchant's eyes only, not for some hacker collective to use on a lavish spending spree for rubber chickens and bulk mayonnaise. Confidentiality is about ensuring that data is only accessible to authorized people. Next up is integrity. This one is a bit more subtle, but just as critical. Integrity means making sure your data is accurate and trustworthy. It's about ensuring that the information you're seeing hasn't been tampered with or altered without your permission. Imagine you log into your online bank account and see a balance of $1,000. Integrity means you can trust that the number is correct. A failure of integrity would be if a malicious actor snuck in and changed that number to $1, or worse, changed the routing number on your paycheck deposit to send it to their own account. Finally, we have availability. This is the one you notice immediately when it's gone. Availability means that the information and systems you need are accessible when you need them. It's the promise that when you go to a website, it will actually load. A common attack on availability is a distributed denial of service or DDoS attack, where hackers flood a server with so much junk traffic that it collapses under the strain and can't serve legitimate users. It's the digital version of 1,000 people standing in front of a supermarket entrance so that no one can get in to buy milk. So, who are these digital miscreants trying to poke holes in your confidentiality, integrity, and availability? They come in many forms, but let's focus on 3 of the most common troublemakers you're likely to encounter. First up is the big one: malware. The term sounds like something a sci-fi villain would name his pet, but it's just a catch-all term for any kind of malicious software. This includes everything from viruses that replicate themselves to spyware that secretly records your every keystroke, yes, including all the typos when you're typing in your password. Ransomware is another nasty flavor of malware that encrypts all your files and holds them hostage until you pay a fee, usually in some untraceable cryptocurrency. Then we have phishing, which is the con artist of the internet. A phishing attack doesn't try to brute force its way into your accounts, it tries to trick you into handing over the keys yourself. You've seen these. It's the email that looks like it's from your bank or Netflix or the IRS, telling you there's an urgent problem with your account and you need to click a link and verify your information immediately. The link, of course, leads to a fake website that looks just like the real thing. You dutifully type in your username and password and congratulations, you've just served up your credentials on a silver platter. It's a scam that preys on our trust and our tendency to panic, and it is shockingly effective. Finally, let's talk about the brute force bully of the internet, the DDoS attack. That stands for Distributed Denial of Service. As we touched on before, the goal here isn't to steal your information but to make it impossible for you or anyone else to access a service. Imagine a single hacker trying to crash a massive website like Amazon. Their one computer wouldn't be enough. But in a DDoS attack, they use a network of thousands or even millions of compromised computers, often called a botnet, to all send requests to the target server at the exact same time. These three threats, malware, phishing, and DDoS, represent the different ways attackers can come at you. Malware is the hidden saboteur that sneaks into your system. Phishing is the charming grifter who talks you out of your wallet. And a DDoS attack is the angry mob that blocks your path. Understanding how they work is the first step toward not falling for their tricks. Given the rogues gallery of digital threats out there, you might be wondering how we're not all living in a state of perpetual cyber panic. The answer is that we have defenders, a set of digital tools that act as our bodyguards, bouncers, and alarm systems. The first and most fundamental of these is the firewall. Think of a firewall as the digital bouncer standing at the door of your personal network. Its job is to inspect all the data traffic coming in and out, and to decide what's allowed through and what gets blocked. It operates on a set of rules you, or more likely your system administrator, define. For example, it can block traffic from known malicious sources or prevent certain types of data from leaving your network. Next in our security lineup is antivirus software. If the firewall is the bouncer at the door, antivirus is the security guard patrolling the inside of the building. Its job is to actively hunt for, detect, and remove malware that might have somehow slipped past the firewall. It does this by scanning files and programs and comparing them against a massive database of known malware signatures. When it finds a match, it quarantines or deletes the threat before it can cause any harm. Modern antivirus software is constantly updating its database to keep up with the thousands of new threats that emerge every single day. Finally, on a more industrial scale, we have intrusion detection systems, or IDS. Think of an IDS as a sophisticated burglar alarm for a computer network. It doesn't necessarily stop attacks in their tracks, but it constantly monitors network traffic for suspicious patterns or known attack signatures. Then there's the one you've definitely used, and probably grumbled about, two-factor authentication, or 2FA. This is one of the single most effective things you can do to secure your accounts. It works on the principle that a thief might be able to steal one thing, but it's much harder for them to steal two things. The two factors are typically something you know, your password, and something you have, your phone. So even if a phisher manages to trick you into giving up your password, they still can't log in without the temporary code that gets sent to your phone. Yes, it's a minor inconvenience to have to wait for that text message, but that tiny bit of friction can be the difference between a secure account and a completely compromised one. All the fancy security software in the world can't protect you if you don't practice good personal cyber hygiene. This is the simple, everyday stuff that makes you a much harder target for attackers. It's the digital equivalent of washing your hands and not sneezing directly into someone's face. And the cornerstone of good cyber hygiene is, you guessed it, your passwords. Using password 123 or 123456 for every account is like leaving your house key under the doormat. It's the first place anyone is going to look. A strong password should be long, at least 12 characters, and a random mix of uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols. And please, for the love of all that is holy, use a different password for every single one of your accounts. Of course, nobody can remember dozens of complex, unique passwords. That's where a password manager comes in. This is a secure, encrypted application that generates and stores all your different passwords for you. You only have to remember one strong master password to unlock the vault. Another crucial habit is keeping your software updated. You know those annoying pop-ups that tell you an update is available for your operating system, your web browser, or some other application? Don't ignore them. Many of those updates contain critical security patches that fix vulnerabilities discovered by researchers or worse, exploited by hackers. When a company like Apple or Microsoft releases a security patch, they are essentially announcing the existence of a flaw to the entire world. Hackers then rush to exploit that flaw on systems that haven't been updated yet. Running old software is like walking around with a sign on your back that says, "My defenses are outdated, please hack here." Finally, be skeptical. This is more of a mindset than a technical tip. Be wary of unsolicited emails, even if they look legitimate. Hover your mouse over links before you click them to see the actual destination URL. If an offer seems too good to be true, like a Nigerian prince who wants to give you millions of dollars for no reason, it is absolutely 100% a scam. Don't download attachments from people you don't know. Think before you click. A moment of critical thinking is often the only thing standing between you and a phishing attack. Technology can build the walls, but you are the gatekeeper. Don't just willingly open the gate to anyone who shows up with a convincing story. To understand why all this matters, we don't have to look far. History is littered with the digital corpses of companies that got their cybersecurity wrong, and we can learn a lot from their mistakes. Take the infamous Equifax breach of 2017. Equifax, one of the 3 largest credit reporting agencies in the United States, holds an unimaginable amount of sensitive personal data on hundreds of millions of people. In May of that year, hackers gained access to their systems and made off with the personal information, names, social security numbers, birth dates, addresses, of nearly 150 million Americans. The truly infuriating part of the Equifax story is how preventable it was. The hackers got in by exploiting a known vulnerability in a piece of web application software called Apache Struts. A patch for this vulnerability had been available for 2 full months before the breach occurred. Equifax's security team simply failed to find and patch the vulnerable system. Then there's the SolarWinds hack, which came to light in late 2020. This one was different, and in many ways, far more sophisticated and terrifying. Instead of attacking a company directly, state-sponsored Russian hackers targeted the software supply chain. They managed to insert malicious code into an update for a popular network management tool made by a company called SolarWinds. This meant that when thousands of SolarWinds customers, including parts of the US government like the Treasury and Commerce departments, as well as major tech companies, downloaded and installed what they thought was a legitimate routine software update, they were unknowingly installing a backdoor for the hackers. The SolarWinds hack was a masterclass in stealth and patience. The hackers were inside these networks for months, moving silently, cherry-picking valuable information before anyone even knew they were there. The lesson from SolarWinds is that we have to trust, but verify. You can't just implicitly trust that software updates are safe, even when they come from a reputable vendor. This breach highlighted the interconnectedness of our digital ecosystem and showed that a vulnerability in one single piece of software can have cascading effects across thousands of organizations. It forced the entire industry to rethink its approach to security, moving toward a zero-trust model where nothing is trusted by default, whether it's inside or outside the network. So, we've talked about threats, defenses, and cautionary tales from the digital crypt. We've established that the internet is a magical place full of wonders, but also a place where someone might try to convince you that your long-lost uncle, the Prince of Genovia, has left you an inheritance if you'll just send them your bank details. After all the firewalls, antivirus software, and complex corporate security strategies are in place, the security of the entire system often comes down to one final, unpredictable, and often exploited variable: you. The human element is consistently the weakest link in the security chain, but it can also be the strongest defense. Technology can only do so much. A firewall can't stop you from willingly typing your password into a phishing website. Antivirus software can't prevent you from being swayed by a convincing email that creates a false sense of urgency. The most sophisticated security systems in the world can be bypassed by an employee who is tricked into holding the door open for an attacker. This is why security awareness is not just a nice-to-have, it's an absolute necessity. It's about cultivating a mindset of healthy skepticism and understanding that if something feels off, it probably is. It's about training our brains to be the most powerful intrusion detection system we have. This isn't about being paranoid. It's not about unplugging from the internet and moving to a cabin in the woods to communicate exclusively via carrier pigeon, although, admittedly, that does sound peaceful. It's about being mindful. It's about taking that extra second to think before you click. Ask yourself, Was I expecting this email? Does this request make sense? Why is this random website offering me a free iPad for being the 1 millionth visitor? That small pause for critical thought is often all it takes to spot a scam and avoid becoming a victim. Empowering people with knowledge is just as important as building taller digital walls. An informed user is a formidable line of defense. Ultimately, cybersecurity is a shared responsibility. The companies that handle our data have a massive responsibility to protect it with robust technological defenses. But we, as individuals, have a responsibility to be careful, informed, and vigilant guardians of our own digital lives. By practicing good cyber hygiene, enabling features like two-factor authentication, and approaching the online world with a dose of thoughtful caution, we can dramatically reduce our own risk. The goal isn't to make you scared of the internet. The goal is to make you smarter on the internet, because in the ongoing battle for digital security, the final boss is, and always will be, the person sitting at the keyboard.